Hey there, my wedding planning friends, and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm Emily Summer. I'm a wedding planner based in Montana, and I make weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice. So last week I did a video all about wedding planning if you are an indecisive person, and today we're going to do something kind of similar, but I'm going to focus on wedding dress shopping. So these are some tips to help you in the wedding dress shopping process if you're somebody that is really indecisive. So if you are about to start wedding dress shopping and you are nervous about it because you are a really indecisive person, or maybe you've already started the process and you're having a really hard time staying in one direction or figuring out exactly what it is that you want wedding dress shopping, then hopefully this video will help you. So tip number one is find inspiration. So before you actually go in and try any dresses on, browse through Pinterest, browse Instagram, and just see what you are initially drawn towards. You're going to have some kind of feeling in your gut of what you like just by seeing a picture, and that's going to kind of help steer you in certain directions. It's likely that if you're an indecisive person, maybe these styles vary a lot. Maybe you're liking things that you feel like are completely opposite of each other or really different kinds of styles. But save photos of dresses that you really like and show them to your stylist when you do go into wedding dress shop. There's a good chance that something that might seem like they're totally different to you, there might actually be some kind of common theme in the dresses as a whole that you're liking. So if you show them to a stylist, they might be able to find a common theme or a common thread to pull at, such as maybe every single dress you have shown them or saved is the same exact shape. So that's one thing down that you know that you do like, is you're drawn towards a particular type of shape. And that's a great springboard to kind of go off of when it comes to starting the actual trying on and wedding dress shopping process. Number two is to set a budget and stick to it. The money side might be helpful for you in being a deciding factor when it comes to actually choosing your wedding dress. So if you're having a really hard time deciding on dresses or figuring out a direction to go, if you go in with a pretty strict budget and knowing what you can afford for your wedding dress and what's going to fall within that budget, that's going to eliminate a lot of options too, which will kind of make your pool a little bit smaller, which again will help you with decision making in general. If you also go in with the mindset that you have a set budget and you can't go over it, that's also going to probably help you and your mind when you're wedding dress shopping to not be wandering quite so much and be wondering what else is out there. You walk into a wedding dress store and there's obviously going to be a ton of dresses at your disposal, and it might feel like, okay, these dresses are all in here, I need to see every single one, or I need to try on a certain amount. That is going to be very overwhelming. And so if you have kind of a direction or one avenue that you have to stick within, aka your budget, that's going to help that process a lot. Number three, don't wait until the last minute, but also don't start super early if you're indecisive. You obviously want to be giving yourself plenty of time so that you don't feel rushed and that you have the opportunity to do it a couple times if you need to, and have some time to be able to think about it and make that decision. But you also don't want to give yourself too much of a lead time so that you are second guessing yourself once, twice, maybe even 3 times in the time that you are wedding dress shopping, and then the time that you have in between until your actual wedding date. So usually like 12 to 14, 16 months is a pretty good time frame for wedding dress shopping. That will give you plenty of time to make a decision, but also not super long to be allowing yourself the opportunity to second guess or change your mind in the middle of your planning process. Number four, think about your overall wedding aesthetic and theme. So when brides come into my store, I usually don't want them to be making their decisions based off of their wedding aesthetic and their theme, and just see kind of what they're initially drawn towards and what they're liking, and kind of start from there, because you can always pivot other things of your wedding to kind of match your dress. Your dress should be the one thing that is totally your decision and what you're drawn towards and what you love. However, if you are needing some direction and you are liking a lot of different types of dresses, thinking about what you envision and plan for your overall wedding aesthetic and theme might help you narrow this down and kind of choose a direction to go when it comes to the overall style of your wedding dress. So think about how you envision your wedding day, what your flowers might look like, what your decor might look like, and see if that kind of helps give you a direction on the style of wedding dress that you're going to choose. Or maybe you're debating between a couple of different dresses and one of them is going to fit this overall aesthetic a lot better than the other one. Number five, spend a decent amount of time in the dresses that you are considering as favorites and think about how you feel in them, not only how you look in them. So obviously you want to look great and you want to feel like you look great, but you should also think about how the dress makes you feel, both in a literal sense, like what the fabric feels like on you. Are you going to be comfortable? Are you going to be hot? Are you going to be chilly? However that feels on you, as well as how it makes you feel emotionally. So do you look at yourself in this dress and think that you can get married in it, you can envision yourself walking down the aisle, or do you just think it's a pretty dress and you like the way you look in it, but you don't really see yourself wearing it on your wedding day? Those are all things to really be thinking about when it comes down to actually narrowing down your favorites and choosing a wedding dress. Number 6, this one is very important for any bride, but especially if you are indecisive and not overly opinionated. Be very intentional with who you bring with you to your bridal appointments. You might feel obligated to bring kind of everybody that's in your life, in your inner circle, to come shopping with you. And while that can work for a lot of brides, it is not necessary. Do not feel pressured to bring all these people with you because you think you're supposed to. You want to be very intentional with who you're bringing to your bridal appointment, and keep in mind that the more people are there, that's more opinions that are going to be there. And so think through who you're thinking about bringing with you, and if they're outspoken, opinionated people, if you're going to have a lot of that, that can be a lot of chatter and background opinions that may not help your cause. If you're somebody that does need those extra opinions, then that's great, but maybe only have 1 or 2 with you so that you're not overwhelmed with all these varying opinions and potentially differing opinions, and if that's going to be something that's going to make you confused or make your decision even more difficult. Number 7, consider your venue, your geographical location, weather, and those types of things. So kind of similarly to thinking about your overall wedding aesthetic, thinking about your venue and the actual location, what the terrain is going to be where you get married. Are you getting married outdoors? Do you have an outdoor wedding ceremony? Are you walking on gravel? Are you walking on grass? Are you walking through dirt? Those types of things might help steer you in a direction as well, especially when you are getting down to the narrowing down process. Certain dresses are going to be a lot easier to maneuver and walk in and deal with for an outdoor wedding ceremony than other dresses. For example, a dress that is satin lined or crepe, it's going to do a lot better walking through like a field or something that isn't a paved or kind of even ground asphalt, even shorter grass. Something that has tulle, like a tulle train, is going to easily snag on things. So if you're walking through an area that has like bark or sticks or anything that's not like a smooth surface, you're running the risk of getting snagged a lot more when you have a tulle dress than you will in something like satin, macado, or crepe. Again, these shouldn't be driving your decision, but this is just something to consider when you are getting down to the point of narrowing down your favorites and trying to decide between maybe a top 2 or 3 wedding dress. And thinking through these things could very well help make your decision. Number 8, if you're having a difficult time expressing what you do like in a wedding dress or what it is you're looking for, especially if it's your first time shopping or second time shopping and you're still trying to figure that out, your stylist is likely going to be asking you these questions, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming if you don't have answers to them. A direction that I like to take sometimes when I have an indecisive bride or a bride that is kind of unsure of how to communicate what it is that she likes or isn't really sure what she likes yet is to kind of flip it in a different direction and ask her what it is she doesn't like. So think about what you don't want in a wedding dress and things that you don't like, and that can be just as helpful as expressing what it is that you do like. So maybe you really, really don't want a dress that has any sort of glitter or sparkle on it. Okay, easy. That's a very good eliminating factor to kind of eliminate a whole chunk of dresses in the store. Or maybe you don't want something that has a V-neck line because you don't like the way that looks on you in other dresses that you've worn in the past. So being able to communicate what you don't particularly like in a dress can be just as helpful as communicating what you do like, and at least a good starting point to go off of to eliminate some types of dresses and choose a direction to kind of follow and go down. Number 9, don't overwhelm yourself with options. It can be very easy to continue to try on dresses, especially if you're somebody that enjoys the shopping process. It should be fun, it should be enjoyable, but the more dresses you try on, the more difficult your decision is going to be. And the more places you go to, the more dresses you try on, it's going to become a lot more difficult mentally as well. You're going to start feeling that overwhelm. You're going to start kind of blurring the lines between each dress, and they're going to start blending together. It's going to be more difficult to distinguish what it is that you liked about certain dresses. So if you are somebody that has a difficult time making decisions, obviously explore your options, go a couple of times if you have to, but don't overwhelm yourself with options. If you are loving dresses, if you're trying on dresses that you really love and that you can see yourself walking down the aisle in, there is no need to continue shopping. Just keep your options where they're at within those several of dresses that you do love. And finally, number 10, once you have found a dress that you love and you say yes, stop looking, stop shopping, stop looking on Pinterest, stop looking on Instagram, stop looking through other dresses you tried on. Once you say yes and you love it and you're happy with it and you envision yourself walking down the aisle, just do yourself a favor and stop looking at all the inspiration. There's always going to be more dresses. There's always going to be beautiful photos posted on the internet. There's always going to be beautiful things that you see on Pinterest. You're going to see other people's wedding dresses on Instagram. Don't allow yourself to kind of go down an avenue of continuing to look and shop online. Once you've made your decision, just stick to it and kind of move on to the next process in your wedding planning. I hear from so many brides that they are indecisive and a little bit worried about that process when they come into wedding dress shop, but every single time I hear this from a bride, they are able to say yes to their dress, so it doesn't have to be as difficult and scary as you might think. Hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe to get weekly videos on wedding planning tips and advice, and we'll see you next week.